I don't know what's going to happen to refugees. It is, and tragedy is an overused word, but that's exactly what it is. But the tragedy of it is the lack of generosity that's been extended to them. When I arrived the first morning in Pikpa and the refugee centre and started looking for a job, the whole world of refugees and their terrible plight really opened up immediately. About 60, 70 refugees arrived in off trucks that they'd been picked up on the beach, and they arrived in and they were completely traumatized. They were just in shock, and the children were silent, and yeah, they were really bad shape. I was going into a world I couldn't begin to imagine. And then you get caught up in the moment and other people's lives. The wonderful thing about it is you forget yourself. And I think that's the real good pursuit of happiness. If you get to a place where you no longer think of yourself at all, you're getting to a very happy place. Especially when you have the power of some money and you can actually help. Like what's a greater privilege in our lives than to be able to help? I stopped working here in the truck in after Christmas, about January, and I knew I was launching into my new life because I've been here 33 years, and I'd hate the idea of dying on the job or not shaking off the shoes of the truck. And that was it. Rhona was the Trocadero, bye bye. So I was sick listening to the bad news in Greece and thought I'd go off on an adventure and see if I could help. And it was on my bucket list to do this, and part of my plan was to go with plenty of cash, because I just thought if I have cash in my pockets, I feel empowered to help. And cash is so quick, and the Greeks were going through that thing with the banks at the time, if you remember. And then I just started telling people I was going with this cash, and then they started spreading the word, and they turned around, people started giving me cash, everybody. So the 18,000 was in little bags all over my body when I was flying out of Dublin Airport, and I was actually petrified. I was petrified because I didn't know where I was going, and I was petrified because I thought somebody will stop me and tell me to hand this money over and I'll be sent home again. But anyway, we arrived, and when we landed in Leros, an Irish woman met us off the boat, and the next morning she collected us quite early and took us to a refugee centre called Pikpa. And Pikpa was an eye-opener. Pikpa was everything I needed to find to help. And in Pikpa, the very first morning I was there, about 70 people arrived in off the boats, and they'd lost people on that boat, and these people were in terrible state. They were terribly frightened. Their children were like silent waifs. They were just this silent, shocked mass of people who were in cold, wet, hungry, frightened. And I had such a lot of money, and they had no kitchen in Pikpa. So I decided we would set up a kitchen in Pikpa, and we had a kitchen up and running in 8 days. Now it was primitive, but we had it up and running in 8 days. The other vision I can't forget is one of the men, he was trying to get through to his mother, and he had no battery left on his phone, and his mother was back in North Africa. He was a young North African man. He was only 17, and Anne turned around and gave him her phone, and he used her phone, and he got through, and he was talking to his mother, and we were both standing there, and we could hear his mother crying on the other end. And then he started crying, and of course we started crying, so the four of us were all in tears. But it suddenly became so clear. He was 17, he was a child. He and his like were being portrayed as potential young terrorists on the TV all the time. And I just wanted to give him a big hug. I cried every day, not because I was heartbroken, really, half the time because I was happy. because I was emotional. I was in that loving place with other people who were practicing love, you know. When it came to the end of my 2 weeks there, I was guilty and I felt I could have finished the job better. I didn't spend all 18,000. The last 7,000 I ended up lodging into PICPA's bank account, and they were able to put in the electrics upstairs for another 100 beds. So they were thrilled with that. So that was it. And then I left absolutely penniless, which was terrific. But I got home anyway, and a few weeks later I went down to Spain, and I'm in a golf club down there. And it really clarified itself for me then. Several people that I knew voted for Brexit. And here they were, English people, retired down to Spain, living on their pension. And one of the main reasons for voting for Brexit was they didn't want refugees. For me, it was a new world order. It was like, let's put up our walls, let's stop people coming in. And I had seen these unfortunate people, and all I wanted was to take down every border in the world. And I just thought, I don't fit in here, you know. In my old age, I'm going to become a rebel. I'm going to become a woman with a cause. So I'm going back. I'm going back with people who are going to be teaching English to the refugees. A group of teachers with the Dublin Adult Literacy Centre, and they promised they'll train me up and bring me along with them, which I'm very grateful for. Do you know, when we had the famine, I think it was the Blackfoot Indians sent over hundreds of dollars. Imagine, an Indian tribe in the Rockies sent money. You know how quickly we all forget. So going out to people who are in full-scale war and fleeing from death and destruction, and you get there and you think, I can help this individual or that child. You know, it's a privilege.